Welcome to the Smart Went Crazy podcast, episode 29.
Welcome.
Yo, what's all happening? We missed you. It's been a long week, but we got some stuff we're going to be talking about with you today that's very important. We got some trending topics we're going to go over today. Oh, I'm looking rough. Oh, boy. All right, anyways. So I'm going to start us off with the quote of the day. All right. So this quote comes to us from Twitter. It's an inspirational quote. We thought it's, Fun Friday. We better start it off with something inspirational to get you pumped up for Monday. All right. Turn your can'ts into cans and your dreams into plans.
Nice.
That is awesome. I love that quote. Basically what it means is people nowadays always say, I can't. Turn that into a can, and you'll be able to make your dreams come true. Pretty much self-explanatory. What do you think about that, Neil?
Perfect quote. I love it. It's pretty self-explanatory. You got to do what you got to do. If people tell you can't do it, don't listen. You could do it. And with that being said, I want to get into the fail of the day today. Today's fail of the day, Joe and I are pretty biased on this one, but we don't care. We agreed on it. Today's fail of the day is Hillary Clinton, her speech. And she just made herself look like a loser because she lost the election, and here she is speaking in front of a college talking about the president. And obviously she wasn't in the plans for her to lose this election, as you can see. But she did, and she seemed like a sore loser all in all. So today, Hillary Clinton is Joe and I's fail of the day, and I admit we're pretty biased about it, but we don't care.
Oh, God, have mercy on my soul. I hate talking about this woman. I really do hate talking about her. So, we're going to start the show off with some NFL hero of the day. The hero of the day comes to us from Manchester, England. So Kelly Brewster, 32, from Sheffield, was among 22 people who died in the suicide bomb attack at a pop concert at Manchester Arena on Monday. And the reason why she is the hero of the day is because she shielded her little sister in the attack so that her little sister could live and she can continue, and she died from her injuries. So she is the hero of the day. Our prayers and thoughts go out with those who are affected by the Manchester bombing. And another thing, too, is I want to discuss this exclusively on Smart Went Crazy. I'm going to sit here and say this right here, right now. And I'm going to get a little insensitive. Anybody that has posted anything negative about the Manchester bombings, so posts like mocking Ariana Grande for her comments about Trump, or no, that's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to people mocking the explosion and people dying. Let me tell you right here, right now, you piece of shit, scumbag, mother effer. Okay? You can take this to the bank. I hope you rot in hell. I hope any one of you who has posted something stupid like that rots in hell. I don't care about politics. I don't care about your beliefs. I don't care about your theories or your I told you so's or anything like that. Yo, this woman went to the UK in Manchester to put on a concert for a bunch of little girls and witnessed a horrific act. And those little girls are suffering from injuries that they may never heal from. Let me put it to you like this. Sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will always hurt you. Forever and ever and ever and ever. Okay? Ever. That, the sight of watching, or sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me, is not what I meant. But I'm trying to say is, what I'm trying to say here is that witnessing a little kid getting blown up, or an 18-year or a 6-year-old girl screaming at the top of her lungs because her sister just got her head blown off, is terribly insensitive. And to actually sit there and put something on Facebook about, Trump's thoughts on this or whoever's thoughts on this, or I was seeing something about Ariana Grande about, her show was or wishing her show was a blast or something like that, kind of trying to make a joke about the bombing. You're just a straight up scumbag, and that shouldn't be going on. We should be standing in solidarity with Manchester and the UK, and regardless of politics, this is no joke. This isn't something to be laughing about or joking around about. People died, and it was majority little kids. So take your stupid ass posts and shove them right up your ass. And that's where I come from. How does that sound?
Yeah, Joe, I don't have to dispute that, really. I mean, it's becoming a thing where we're waiting for the next one to happen. And instead of moments of silence, we need a moment of silence, let's change our Facebook icon or our Twitter icon for these people for 2 weeks, and then let's forget about it and be afraid of Islamophobia to get in the way. No, this needs to be talked about. This needs to be prevented, not dealt with after the fact, in my opinion. These things need to be prevented as good as possible, in my opinion. This should not be happening in the world today, especially with the technology we have. And I noticed there's a lot of world leaders right now, like Angela Merkel, and the mayor of Manchester himself. I'm trying to think of his name right now. But his name is, I don't have his name right here right away. I don't feel like looking for it. His exact words were, we got to get used to this type of stuff. This is growing pains in the world today with how our policies are. Basically referring to their open borders policy. Let's just let everybody come to our and whatever. You know what I mean? Regardless of what you think about that, this is not something that we should be getting used to. Or we got to be careful how we talk because you might hurt someone's feelings. No, I don't care. I'm going to say how I feel. And if I don't like it, I'm going to speak on it regardless. And bottom line. So, I get it. You don't want to be hurtful to people who are, law-abiding citizens and people who, are doing the right thing. There's plenty of people out there like that. But at the same time, I don't think somebody should be looked at as being an Islamophobe for speaking out their mind on issues like this when it keeps happening. Last year alone, I think Europe said there was like 10, and it's just crazy in my opinion. We're gonna talk about that later on. We're gonna get into the United Nations, Angela Merkel, stuff like that, Manchester, and Hillary Clinton herself as well. But I wanted to. We've been neglecting sports for a while now. Joe and I have been. The OTAs are going to the NFL. We want to talk about some hot teams right now that we think are going to surprise some people this year. We're going to get into NHL Playoffs, MLB, NBA Playoffs. But I wanted to kick it off with some NFL, and you know what I mean. We're going to also get in a little bit of pre-fantasy, some predictions on first round fantasy picks for Joe and I. So I'll start it off. So the OTAs are going strong, and we'll start off in Buffalo because this is a Buffalo-based podcast, and Joe and I are huge Bills fans. Technical difficulties. The camera just got shut off. I don't know why that just happened, but I'm gonna fix it. And Joe, here, take the mic.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Keep going.
Yeah, I gotta get the chat up.
So give me a
So, I want you guys to grab a pen and a paper because we are going to talk about fantasy football. As soon as Neil can get this screen up and going, we're having some technical difficulties, so it's kind of like you're listening to a radio station right now. So, this is pretty cool, actually, without you being able to see us. That's pretty wild. So, what do I think about fantasy football? My first round pick overall is, if you have a pen and paper, now's the time to start writing. Listen, so let's be honest. Let's discuss fantasy football, okay? It depends where you wind up in your draft. You have to draft smart. So if it depends what kind of league you're in. If you're playing a PPR league, then you're going to want a lot of wide receivers. You're going to want, handcuff players to back up those wide receivers. You're going to want quarterbacks that love to throw the ball and run with the ball a lot. So you're going to want your Cam Newtons, Russell Wilsons, not a Tom Brady kind of a quarterback. You want a running running passing quarterback. For PPR leagues? I mean, you could have Tom Brady, but I like my quarterback to be able to put up more points than just passing. I like my quarterback to be able to run and make some points for me as well. Yeah, there we go. We're good to go. So, now that we're back up and running, I'm going to give you my top 10.
What the hell is going on with this camera? I think it's the cord. So, just keep going, dude. I'm getting this.
So, I'm going to give you my top 10 draft picks. My top 10 draft picks are as follows. 1, Antonio Brown. 2, I don't know. 1, Antonio Brown. 2, Odell Beckham. 3, Jordan Reed. 4, Gronkowski. 5, Mike Evans. 6, Julio Jones. 7 is going to be 7 would probably be Travis Kelce.
All right, there we go.
8 is going to be
Someone sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
All kinds of problems right now.
8 is going to be who would you draft at 8, 9, and 10?
Wait,
We'll go to quarterbacks.
Did you say David Johnson yet?
No, I haven't even brought up a running back. I'm just talking about wide receivers and tight ends. AJ Green.
Mike Evans.
I already said him.
Okay.
Pryor. Taylor Pryor. Or Terrell Pryor.
I don't know about him right now. Actually, good question. I want to see where Terrell. I don't even know Terrell Pryor where he stands on the depth chart. Let's look that up real quick.
I don't know, man. Those are my top 8 as of right now. My top 10, if I'm going to put in players, I would want Cam Newton, which did horrible last year, but I'm going to give him a shot again. Russell Wilson, and Dak Prescott. Tom Brady. Phillip Rivers is always a strong pick. Phillip Rivers. Probably Drew Brees is always a strong pick. Aaron Rodgers has to be. If I can get Aaron Rodgers on my fantasy team, I'm in love. So here's my perfect fantasy team. Right? Like I got everybody.
Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, flex, tight end, go.
Okay. Defense. All right. 2 quarterbacks.
Realistically, though.
2 quarterbacks?
So, realistically, say who you can get in the first round, second round, like a realistic team. Or just give your best team.
No, I'm going to give my best
Go
team.
ahead.
Okay. 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a flex.
1 quarterback.
1 quarterback. Okay. 3 wide receivers then.
Okay. Or just 2 in a flex. You can pick
2 in a flex.
3 running backs or 3 receivers.
Okay. All right. So if my dream team right here, okay, would have to be Tom Brady. Tom Brady for my quarterback.
Okay.
Or Russell Wilson. Depends who's playing who. Okay.
Not bad.
For quarterback. Wide receiver all day. Can't dispute it. Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, and my flex is going to be Jordan Reed.
Do tight end.
You're right. That's a tight end.
Who's your flex?
My flex wide receiver. See, it's weird because I don't play normal leagues. I play FanDuel.
Well, the FanDuel has different formats.
So
pick a receiver then.
So here's how FanDuel does it. You get 1 quarterback, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex, and two running backs. So I would do Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, depending on who's playing who, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Ezekiel Elliott all day, and then my tight end is going to be Jordan Reed without a doubt. And then my flex, if I can afford them, will probably be Mike Evans or AJ Green. And my defense, probably. You can't make me pick a D right now.
Yeah, why not? Just jump for it.
Jump for it, Patriots.
Okay. Let me give you mine. All right. So my starting, I'm gonna do it like this. I'm gonna give a quarterback, two running backs, 2 receivers, tight end, flex, defense. Whatever. We're not gonna do kicker. Who cares about kicker? So my quarterback, going into this season, I would have to go with.
Tom Brady.
Nope.
Who?
I'm gonna go with, for this season, coming into this season. You know what? I'm gonna think outside the box. I'm just gonna get a little crazy. I'm gonna get a little crazy with this one. I'm gonna go with Tyrod Taylor.
You're a fucking.
I think Tyrod Taylor is gonna have his season. All right, I'm going with the home team, Tyrod, baby, just for discussion purposes.
Just because you said Tyrod Taylor, you don't even get to finish.
Realistically though, you know who I would because I'm not. Here's why I go for a lower ranking quarterback. I never draft quarterbacks early. So realistically, I'm looking at quarterback at like 7th, 6th, 7th, maybe 8th round. So I'm looking at Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan. He might go higher this year because he had a phenomenal season. But like guys like Tyrod Taylor as my quarterback. Maybe even Cam Newton if I can get him at a decent spot. Running backs. My top 2 running backs is very simple: David Johnson and Le'Veon Bell. But if I had to realistically look at like a first round, my first round every year in the draft, I always go running back. So whatever's available between Le'Veon Bell and David Johnson. My next running back would have to be probably somewhere. I might actually go for a rookie this year, like what's his name in Jacksonville? His name is escaping me. The first Leonard Fournette. So Leonard Fournette, if I can get him at a reasonable spot, and that would just be a nasty running back tandem right there. My top wide receivers would have to be Julio Jones and AJ Green, then Antonio Brown. So I'm obviously going to get one to try to grab one of those second round or first round, whichever one I fall at, depending on where I'm drafting, if I'm drafting early in the first or late, you know what I mean? But tight end, Jordan Reed. I think Jordan Reed is great. He has a little bit of injury concerns. Obviously, Gronkowski is the premier tight end in the league. That's an easy answer. But yeah, there's other guys out there like guys like Tyler Eifert or players like that. So that leads me to defense. I'll look for a defense that likes to turn the ball over more than just play tight D like New England. I would go for a Denver type defense. Von Miller, Aqib Talib, maybe Seattle with Richard Sherman. Kansas City, they re-signed Eric Berry. They still have some big pieces there. Arizona lost Calais Campbell, but they still have big pieces there too. There's just the normal defenses, I guess. But yeah, it's early right now.
I would smoke your league. I would smoke you just because you picked Tyrod Taylor. Give me that, Mike.
No, listen. Let me explain to you something real quick. Quarterback position to me, when you look at the quarterback position to me, the best quarterback in the league, between the first quarterback in the league and the 32nd ranked quarterback in the league, the number differentiation is slim compared to what we see at wide receiver, running back, and tight end. So it's always more valuable to have more running backs and more wide receivers than it is to get the best quarterback in the draft. Now, I only brought up Tyrod just for entertainment purposes, but the real reason why I brought up Tyrod, not because I think he's the best quarterback, or not because I think he's the best fantasy quarterback either. I'm saying in the fantasy draft, when you have to pick first round, second round, third round, fourth round, I'm getting my running backs and my wide receivers first, then I'm getting a quarterback. So a realistic pick would be someone like Ben Roethlisberger or Tyrod Taylor. Not saying he's going to do better than Brady or Russell Wilson, but he would fall around that sixth round, like I said, sixth, seventh, maybe fifth round, and it's just a realistic pick. I'm not saying he's better, but he's a good fantasy quarterback. He gets points on the ground as a runner, and he's got a pretty good arm. So I think this is going to be the year for him to step it up. And another quarterback I want to throw his name in, who doesn't really get picked a lot. He usually sits on free agency, but I think this year he's going to have a good year, is Blake Bortles. And here's why. You got Leonard Fournette, who's going to make the defenses stack the box. They're going to see a lot of 4-3s and 3-4s against Leonard Fournette. And you got a plethora of wide receivers in Jacksonville. Allen Hurns, Allen Robinson, what's his name? Marcus Lee. And they just drafted another pretty decent wide receiver. So you have a plethora of wide receivers. Plus, Mercedes Lewis is still around. He's a 2006 first-round pick. He's the top tight end. And if you remember, like 5-6 years ago, he was a elite tight end in the league. But in recent years, he had some injury concerns. But he's back and he's ready to go. I think he's gonna bounce back this year. I think Jacksonville's offense is gonna be. You're gonna see a lot of fantasy studs coming from that offense. Yeah.
No.
Listen to me. When you're drafting in fantasy, you have to be strategic and smart. So it depends what kind of league you're playing in, which most leagues are PPR leagues.
PPR doesn't really affect quarterback, though.
No, it doesn't.
PPR affects wide receivers and tight ends more. And
How do you say that? How could you if you have a points per reception, you better have a good quarterback thrown to your wide receivers.
But it doesn't make a difference because I see. I mean, PPR doesn't affect quarterback as much because the quarterback isn't getting a point for the throw. Only the receiver is. So if you have a receiver quarterback connection, so let me give you an example. If you have Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown, then yeah, you're looking at points per reception for Ben Roethlisberger. But other than that, your receivers 9 times out of 10 are not your quarterback's receivers. You got a mix. So to me, PPR has no effect on quarterback whatsoever. I think no matter what league you're in, quarterbacks, the points are usually around the same, unless they have different point systems for yards, for every 10 yards, whatever, every 25 yards. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's 6 points for a touchdown for a quarterback. Maybe it's 4 points. Every league's different. You know what I mean? But PPR league, you're looking at running backs that catch the ball out of the backfield, tight ends that catch a lot of passes, wide receivers the slot receivers in PPR leagues dominate over in standard leagues. So guys like Jarvis Landry and Randall Cobb, if you're playing in a PPR league, Jarvis Landry, Randall Cobb, those guys are going to be 25% better than they would be in a standard league. In a standard league, Jarvis Landry, who catches 8-9 passes a game for 60 yards, isn't going to be that good because he's only getting credited for the 60 yards and not the 8 passes. But in a PPR league, Jarvis Landry, 8 points, 60 yards, or 8 receptions, 60 yards. You're getting 8 points for the receptions plus the 6 points for the 60 yards and maybe a touchdown. So now you're looking at a 10 times more valuable player than it would be in standard. But yeah, I don't know. What else do you think?
All right, so I think you should run down just the sports, what's going on with sports, and then we should move over to Hillary.
All right. So, fantasy, we just wanted to touch on that. We haven't talked about it yet, but we will get into that when the season comes. We just wanted to play around with that, see what anyone in the chat says. I know it's Friday, so Friday we always get a low chat while we're live. People are out having fun doing their thing. That's great. But make sure you guys watch the video later. If you do, leave a message. Even if you're not watching it live, we still respond. We always respond. So I wanted to pick Joe, me and you right now. We're gonna run down pick a team from every division who we think are gonna make the playoffs. Not wild cards, just who's gonna win the division. So let's start with the AFC East. All right. Now, obviously, we're Bills fans. So we can be biased and say the Bills. But let's be realistic. Is New England going to fall back this year? No. So we could chalk that up right now. I hope the Bills are going to win the division. Of course I'm going to say that. But I refuse to be biased.
So here we go. I'm going to give you the picks because Neil's crazy. AFC East, New England.
All right. NFC and that was an easy one, but from now on, we're going to give our reasons why. So let's go to NFC East. You got Philadelphia, New York, Dallas, and Washington. So this year, I'm actually going to – I know most people think Dallas is the hot pick, but I'm going to go with Philadelphia after the season we saw with Carson Wentz and how they are adding to their defense and their plethora of wide receivers like Alshon Jeffrey, and how they definitely changed. They definitely had a great offseason. I'm going to pick Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, same reasons.
Okay. So that we both agree on that one. We're going to go down to the AFC North. Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. I think Joe and I are both going to agree on this. Pittsburgh all day. Pittsburgh has not have a hole on their team on offense or defense. Their offense is prolific. Like, it is as good as it gets, but their defense is nothing to not like be proud of. That defense is stacked. And you look at guys like Artie Burns, young guys like that in the backfield, because you already know their front seven is stacked. But Artie Burns is coming up, and Ross Cockrell, who was a Bill, stepped up last year and showed he was a physical big corner who can start for the team. So I'm picking Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, for sure. For the NFC North, it's a toss-up between Green Bay and Detroit. Matthew Stafford is one hell of a lucky quarterback, and if he brings his season that he had last year in Detroit into this year, it's going to be a tough draw. But like, if you're just talking straight up going to make the playoffs, no doubt about it. Win the division, it's going to be more than 95% Green Bay.
And I'm going to agree with you on Green Bay, and my biggest reason is Aaron Rodgers, and I'll just leave it at that. And not only that, this team is a dynasty. Green Bay, they draft players, and they keep them, and they re-sign them, and they build them and they keep players in house, and they get better and better, and they get onto their second contracts, and they're ready to start. And you see that a lot with Green Bay, and I think they're going to continue to do that throughout the years, especially with Aaron Rodgers around. We're going to go to the AFC South. Now, I think Joe and I are going to disagree on this one, but I am astoundingly going with Jacksonville. Jacksonville I think this is their year. I think Blake Bortles is ready to step it up. He's got all the weapons he needs. Leonard Fournette, Hearns, Robinson, Mercedes Lewis. The defense, they added Calais Campbell to that defense. Barry Church, A.J. Boye. I think Jalen Ramsey, coming into his second year, is ready to be top 5 cornerback in the NFL. They're moving Miles Jack to middle linebacker, and they're sliding over Paul Posluszny, the ex-Bill, to outside linebacker. And also, can't forget, they added Malik Jackson from Denver. So they got big guys up front. You're going to see a lot of sacks from Jacksonville. That's my pick.
Toss up between Houston and Tennessee. Marcus Mariota is hot, and as far as I'm concerned, Jacksonville, Blake Bortles is a N-O. He's a negative, in my opinion, of a quarterback. So it's a toss-up between Tennessee and Houston. Houston's looking good. Not too sure on the quarterback position. We'll see how things go. They drafted a rookie quarterback, did they not? In Houston? Who would? What's his face?
Houston's got
Scotty Sunlight. Who's Houston got for quarterback?
Let's look at it. What the hell?
It's all right.
No, it'll go. There we go. Oh, Deshaun Watson. Duh.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah, my guy that I wanted. I can't believe I didn't know that. Deshaun Watson, yeah. So it's a toss-up between Tennessee and Houston. If Deshaun Watson puts on a show that he put on in against Alabama, it's over. It's done. It's Houston all day. If Deshaun Watson doesn't show up and he has a terrible rookie season, it's Tennessee all day. For the NFC South, I'm going with Tampa Bay or Atlanta.
So, yeah, I don't know. NFC South is another toss-up division because Drew Brees is still there. Tampa Bay has been getting better year by year. And
Carolina could come back easily.
Yeah, Carolina can bounce back to the former Carolina from 2 years ago easily. They still have Cam Newton. Yeah.
Plus, they drafted a running back in Carolina, and they gave Cam Newton more of a choice now. And they picked up that wide receiver too. What was his name?
So Carolina, Kelvin Benjamin, Devin Funches, those are guys who were there from last year. Greg Olson's still there. Jonathan Stewart's still there. That offense is still intact. This team can.
Christian McCaffrey.
But guys like, look at this: Luke Kuechly, Shaq Thompson, Thomas Davis, Julius Peppers, Charles Johnson. This defense is heavy. This defense is heavy.
That going down. Go down? Where was he? Right there. Christian McCaffrey.
Oh yeah, and Christian McCaffrey, of course.
They're saying that Christian McCaffrey is like a mix of Jordan Reed and Le'Veon Bell together. This kid is insane. So Cam Newton definitely has a new receiver and a receiver / running back with Christian McCaffrey's. So I'm pumped up. Carolina could easily take it over.
Yeah, all right, my pick for the AFC West for me was simple: Oakland. Like, Oakland is getting better and better year by year. They were 12-4 last year. Their receiving core: Michael Crabtree, Amari Cooper, Cordell Patterson. They added Jerry Cook to tight end. I think Austin Howard is a great right tackle, and then you got Donald Penn on the other side. So you got their offensive line is getting better. Marshawn Lynch, come and play for the hometown. That offense is perfect right there. And you got Mario Edwards Jr. on defense, Khalil Mack, Bruce Irvin, Super Bowl winning Bruce Irvin, guys like Carl Joseph, first round pick in 2016, Sean Smith on the other side, Reggie Nelson, Carl Joseph. This Oakland Raiders team to me is no doubt, and Denver could be a threat too if their quarterback, if they can figure something out at the quarterback position, because they have all the other pieces in place. But they did add Kelly, Chad Kelly as Mr. Irrelevant. But him and Paxton Lynch and Trevor Siemian are going to duke it out.
Mike, dude, listen. Here's the deal with Oakland. Go back to the screen. I want people to see me with this. All right. Oakland is, in my opinion, a contender, and you are correct. But in no way, shape, or form is it going to be easy to take on Kansas City.
Or Denver.
So, in my opinion, the AFC West is going to go to KC. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And then on the NFC West, this might surprise you all. I am thinking that San Francisco is not going to win the division. It's going to be Seattle again. There's no doubt about that. But I think San Francisco and Arizona are going to put up a fight for Seattle's position. And it depends on how things turn out.
So, me for the NFC West. So, Arizona, you can never count them out with Bruce Arians as the head coach. To me, Bruce Arians is the second best coach in the NFL right now besides Bill Belichick. But Larry Fitzgerald, still around from 2004, still going strong too. Carson Palmer, I think he was drafted in 2002. They got some veterans on this team. David Johnson is in his prime. And then you still got Andre Ellington behind him. Guys like J.J. Nelson and John Brown behind Larry Fitzgerald. The defense, they lost Calais Campbell, but you still got some pieces in place. Deion Buchanan is going to move from safety to right inside linebacker. So you got a linebacker who can hit and cover tight ends. That's an amazing move. That's Bruce Arians for you. That's what he does. He moves pieces around the field. You still got Tyrann Mathieu, the honey badger back there. Carlos Dansby. Man, yeah, you can't. You know what? I'm gonna have to go with Arizona. But if not, then I'm gonna go with Seattle just because Russell Wilson and Cam Chancellor and Jimmy Graham. Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, KJ Wright, Bobby Wagner, Cliff Averill. That Legion of Boom is still together. Michael Bennett. This is a growing dynasty year by year. You cannot count this team out. And that actually concludes. And you did. Oh, you already picked one, right? So that actually concludes it.
To win it all this year, I am calling a repeat trip of the New England Patriots, but I think that Eli Manning is coming with a grudge. So I'm going to call the New England Patriots and the New York Giants in the Super Bowl for this year's Super Bowl coming up.
It would be 2018.
2018 Super Bowl. I don't know the exact number. There's been a billion of them, but the point is, I'm calling the new 53 or 54, somewhere in there. I'm calling the New York Giants and the New England Patriots.
Again? So round 3, all right, that would be crazy. But you know what? I'm glad he brought up New York Giants, because adding Brandon Marshall to a receiving core that already has Odell Beckham Jr. How do you cover? How do you plan that as a defensive unit, as a defensive coordinator, as a head coach, being in that division in the NFC? If you're the Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles, and you know you got to play this team twice, you better have 3 good cornerbacks, or you're done. So this team is going to air it out. And I don't know, that could be a good pick. Eli Manning is still. I mean, he throws a lot of picks, but he still has his games where he's throwing 400 yards and he's cranking out 5 touchdown passes. So, hey, I don't know. That's not a bad pick. Me personally, I think this is Oakland Raiders' year. I'm going to pick Oakland Raiders in the AFC to make it to the Super Bowl this year. I think Carr is going to step it up.
You think the Oakland Raiders are going to beat the New England Patriots?
I think the Oakland Raiders can beat the New England Patriots this year, and I think it's going to be Khalil Mack, guys like Khalil Mack. Their secondary getting better, and Carr, Crabtree, Amari Cooper, everybody stepping it up, everybody staying healthy, and that's another thing. You don't know who's going to stay healthy, so we don't know what's going down in December, November. This is all picks right now. This is all just mumbo jumbo. My NFC pick. My NFC pick. That's a tough decision because the NFC is pretty stacked. Every division, anybody can make it out of there. And you know what? I think it's going to be Arizona's year. I think Arizona has earned their dues, and this is. I think Bruce Arians is going to put together a team and surprise everybody and pull out the NFC this year.
Boy.
Just like I think it's going to be kind of like what we saw with Atlanta this year, where Atlanta, you always know who Matt Ryan, you know what you got. You got Julio Jones, you got Devontae Freeman. Everybody knows that team's good, but nobody last year in summertime was picking Atlanta to go to the Super Bowl. So I got Arizona as sort of like an Atlanta type. You got the pieces in place. You got the coach there. You got a veteran quarterback, a team that is hungry, who's been together for a long time, who've been to the Super Bowl. I mean, Larry Fitzgerald, that's basically it. Larry Fitzgerald's been to the Super Bowl against Pittsburgh. They lost. So this might be his last season, and he could rally the troops. He could be the voice in the locker room. Say, listen, every single game, play it like your last. And if that could happen, Arizona might be the team in the NFC we might see make the Super Bowl.
Moving on to other news. So, I'm going to give you this to run through this because people really tuned in because I just made a post about our Hillary Clinton. Run through NHL, NBA, and then we're going to go on to Hillary Clinton.
All right, so NHL, it's the Penguins and the Predators. And Joe, congratulations. Joe won the I forgot the name of the bracket it was in. Joe and I entered a bracket. Both of us had picked teams. I picked Washington. Joe picked Pittsburgh. And 10 teams were in this league. Joe won the money. Congratulations for that. Let's give you a hand of applause for that. Joe picked Pittsburgh, and all he needed was them to make it to the finals. So good job, Joe. And we'll talk more about that as the Stanley Cup progresses. And in the NBA, which like Joe said, we're just going to run through it. It's Golden State and Cleveland for the third time in a row. Some people think this is boring. They don't want to watch the same two teams every single year in the finals. Me personally, I think it's exciting. I think it reminds me of like a rivalry we saw with like the LA and the Celtics back in like the late 80s, early 90s, or like the, you know what I mean? Like this is it. Like this is a moment in history in sports where we're gonna look back 20 years from now and say, you remember LeBron James and Kevin Love versus Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and all them. Wow, wasn't that fun to watch? So me personally, I'm a fan, and I love the NBA. So I'm gonna definitely be tuning into this.
Who's gonna win it?
I think this is gonna be Golden State's year. And the reason why I think this is going to be Golden State's year is I think Kevin Durant is going to be the X factor. And I think if they can get Draymond Green to D up on LeBron, they're not going to shut him down, but they can slow him down, like we've seen with Draymond against LeBron in the past. He's the only guy on that team who can do it. KD too. Maybe they might switch it up here and there. KD can D up on LeBron too. But I think Draymond should be the guy to cover LeBron, and I got Golden State. Didn't we put it on the board?
Yeah, I had Golden State.
You had Golden State and I had Cleveland.
Yeah.
So here we are, right in the Stanley Cup, or I mean the NBA championship, and we got our teams on the board.
When did the finals start?
It's about to start, I think, tomorrow. But yeah. So Pittsburgh and Nashville I got Pittsburgh. I just can't pick. Nashville is hot, and if you're picking Nashville to win, I'm not gonna sit here and say you're crazy, because they just blew by. They just blew past everybody they played in the playoffs, and that's a hot team right now. But I just Pittsburgh, man, Sidney Crosby, like I got them winning it.
Yeah, I mean, Golden State, Steph Curry all day, love him to death. Klay Thompson, he's my man. Kevin Durant, he's my man. Green, I love him as well. I'm a GSW fan all day, all night. Cleveland, I hate LeBron James. The reason why I hate LeBron James is because he takes the fun out of game. He puts he's like a Tom Brady of the NBA. Yeah. All right, and when a player is that good, they're amazing to watch. They really are amazing to watch. But it's like you can predict what's going to happen when they play. You know what I mean? And like you want them sometimes to have a bad game because they're so good, and you just want them to be human, you know? So, like, as far as I'm concerned, like LeBron James, I don't hate on him. I don't really hate him that much. I think he's an amazing basketball player. I think he's better than Jordan, in my opinion. There's no way to compare. They're two different style players, but either way, and I hate Cleveland, so they win everything.
So I just want to touch on that real quick one more time. And I watch a lot of SportsCenter, and one of the shows I like to watch is the segment where it's Paul Pierce and Scottie Pippen, and they were talking about LeBron as if both of them were both agreeing on this too. And I don't get me wrong, I think you look sexy. I just wanted you to know that. Thanks, babe. So Paul Pierce and Scottie Pippen, two NBA legends who I have all the respect for, and when they talk about basketball, I listen because they know what they're talking about. They're the experts. But I have to disagree because both of them were agreeing on something. They were talking about LeBron James, and they were saying that as if to ever mention LeBron James in the same breath as a guy like Magic Johnson, never can you ever do that. And then I forgot the young fellow's name who said, I think LeBron James is better than Magic Johnson. And they both started laughing like, oh, you didn't grow up in the 80s. You don't know anything. You don't know what you're talking about. As if we can't go on YouTube and watch some clips from Magic. And I get it. You were there. You all right, you understand it more. But look at what LeBron is doing right now in the last 10, 15 years. To say that it's blasphemous to call LeBron James as good as Magic Johnson, to me, that's insane. So you could actually, I've heard many times Magic Johnson himself say that LeBron James is the best basketball player in the world, and that came from his own mouth. Now the whole LeBron James versus Michael Jordan debate is a little bit more difficult because you're comparing a forward and a guard, but as far as greatness, why not? Here is LeBron entering his 7th championship. And to me, to say that you can't compare him to Jordan, I don't get it. But the eye test, watching Jordan, it was just amazing. Like, if you're ever just bored, go on YouTube and just watch some Jordan clips, and he just blows your mind. It is the reason why they call him Air Jordan. I don't know. I just wanted to touch on that, but we can move on if you want. Yeah. So Joe and I wanted to talk about this. That's it for sports, by the way. So I know a lot of you are going to go. We're going to get a little politics here. So there you go. I'm giving you the heads up now. So Hillary Clinton had a speech today at Wesley College where she was a student. And this is not her first time speaking there for the commencement speech for the students. And I watched it. And the whole thing was about Trump. The whole thing was about how bad of a job he's doing, how the election was probably rigged by the Russians, how Islamophobia has taken over the country, how there's Pizzagate all over the news, which it's not. Nobody believes Pizzagate except for crazy people. Pizzagate is it's a conspiracy theory that Hillary Clinton and John Podesta were running a pedophile ring in D.C. Now, I've never, ever even gave light to that situation. I never even brought it up on the podcast because I know how stupid that sounds. I don't believe that. That people are referring to the WikiLeaks like this. Oh, look at the WikiLeaks. They're speaking in code. This must be a pedophile ring. That's ridiculous. Nobody really thinks that except for dumb, crazy people on the internet. So Hillary's referring to this as if all people on the right think this is true. It's not. Another thing she brought up was
I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, exactly. Joe didn't even know what it was, and he's the biggest right winger I know. So there you go. That's proof right there. So she also brought up the crowd size of Trump's inauguration, and this is one thing I've been letting it go for a while because I see it on the news that talk about the Trump's crowd size was so little. Oh my God, he's nothing. Nobody likes him. Everybody hates him. Russia. Oh, Trump.
Hold on. I'm cutting you off, and I know we talked about this. All right, listen. So my buddy, I pulled into my buddy's shop today, and he told me a funny joke, and I have to talk about it because I was when he told me the joke, it didn't register in my head until I was driving what he had actually said. So he said something along the lines of, they told me to vote for Trump because there wasn't going to be an investigation, an FBI investigation from day one, or they told me to vote for the person that wasn't going to be under investigation from the FBI from day one, insinuating that if he voted for Hillary Clinton, he'd be voting for a president that would be under investigation from the FBI from day one. But if he voted for Trump, he wouldn't get that. Well, as we all know, Trump is under investigation from the FBI for collusion with Russia. So I thought it was funny. I laughed. I love you. I would never hate on you for that. But I do have to rebut your statement here. Trump is not under investigation. Trump's administration is under investigation, but Trump himself is not under investigation by the FBI. So, that's number one. Number two is, since day number uno, these people have been talking about how to destroy this man's presidency. Basically, if he sits on the toilet the wrong way, they are going to crack down on him for it. So they are listen, here is what the Democrats are doing right now, and it's terrible. No, it's not even that, dude. They are taking every dart they have in their back pocket, and they are throwing it at the dartboard, and they are praying that something sticks. And like, they are doing this so blindfolded that they look ridiculous. And Hillary Clinton comes out today and gives this commencement speech at Wesley College, an all-girls school, whatever. Don't even get me started on that college. It's all about feminism and this and that and the other thing. Patriarch school. It's just whatever. So, regardless of the situation, Hillary comes out and she starts talking about Donald Trump's inability to tell the truth. Are you for real, woman? Like, when you were writing this speech, all right, did it ever cross your mind that the words you were putting on the paper were an absolute and utter lie to yourself? You're lying to yourself. You straight up deleted 30,000 emails and then went ahead and told the American public that you didn't delete 30,000 emails. You did that yourself. And then when asked about different occasions like Benghazi and things like that, you again lied to the American people. So to insinuate that Donald Trump is nothing but a liar, and to insinuate that you're honest and forthcoming to the American people, is an absolute and utter lie. There is the evidence against you in your email scandal, in Benghazi scandal, in the Uranium One scandal, and the Haitian. What scandal would you even? The earthquake, the Haiti earthquake, and Bill Clinton's rape file that's a mile long. All those things. Do you think that we are so stupid that we didn't know that those things come out? And here's another thing too. She was talking about a day and age where the press shouldn't be believed. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. The press is the biggest liars on the face of the earth. See, in America, some of the greatest minds taught us to question everything you hear. So when I hear something that sounds outrageous about Hillary Clinton, or I hear something that sounds outrageous about Donald Trump, the first thing in my mind is I have to look this up. I have to see where this source is coming from, what it's about, what's included in it, what's going on. Nowadays, everybody uses news as their primary source instead of going right to the actual primary source where it happened. So, in conclusion, you get these asinine thoughts in your head that turn you, that turns you into this absolute asinine human being. Again, this is why I'm a Republican. Because Republicans don't do shit like this. That is why.
Yeah, and it's people like me, the libertarians in the country, are jumping over to the right, whereas I think in 2008 they would have been going left. After the Bush administration, libertarians would have went with Obama. So now it's seeing the right has gotten bigger as far as voter-wise. But yeah, I want to touch on what you were talking about with Hillary. So it's Hillary in the speech today at Wesley. She was talking about conspiracy theories. All right. So conspiracy theories. I hope she's not referring to like Seth Rich murder, because here in the Seth Rich murder, there's a physical body. There's someone who died. Oh, that's not even mentioning the 6 other employees at WikiLeaks that died in 2016. That's just one. We're just talking about Seth Rich here. So conspiracy theories. These could be conspiracy theories, sure. You're right. There's no truth. There's no evidence that these were all hits or Seth Rich was murdered. But the fact is there is a body, and he wasn't robbed. 2, the definition of a conspiracy theory is a theory of there's a conspiracy going on. What is that right now? If I can pick one, it's the Russian conspiracy. There's no evidence in the Russian conspiracy. So every single day you turn on CNN, I don't know why there's not a million TVs with puke all over them every morning when they watch this. Because here's what it says. You'll see the headline. It'll say, "New probe going into the Russian, new evidence." And then you'll be like, "Oh, what is this?" So you'll turn it on. Or maybe you're reading an article, and in the article, the headline says, "Oh, here it is. Trump's going to get impeached, blah, blah, blah." You can look in the middle of the article, it'll say, "So he said, she said, he said, she said, he said, she said." And then he wrote a memorandum about this. Then the last sentence will always say, "We don't have complete evidence for this, but we think that this is leading up to blah, 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 blah." So 90% of Americans just read the title and think, "Oh, Trump's colluding with Russia." And that's a fact. So you see it so many times over and over and over that you just think it's true. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the crowd size. Can I get into this real quick? I'll show the crowd size. So this isn't a big deal, but
we're gonna put on this. We're gonna hold on a second. We're going to a blank screen.
It's still gonna show. It's not gonna be a blank screen.
I turned it on the depth there.
Yeah, I'll put it right on you.
Oh my god,
Just talk.
I'm dying. Oh, it's so hot in this room with all these lights. Yeah, beautiful.